Hello guys, today we have with us Subhashmita Raut ma'am, who is currently serving as a formal verification engineer at ARM. And we are having this podcast so that we can bring to you new insights from the world of verification in VLSI industry. Hi ma'am, thanks for being with us in this podcast.
Thank you, Himanshu, for inviting me today here and for helping all the fellow VLSI enthusiasts.
Yes ma'am. Before we start ma'am, can you please briefly introduce yourself so that our audience can take inspiration from your profile?
Sure. My name is Subhashmita Raut, and I have been working in this VLSI industry for nearly about 2 years. So, my first job experience was in Intel as a formal verification engineer. I worked there for 1.5 years, and I have recently shifted to Cambridge to join ARM Semiconductors. It's been a while for me over here. And prior to that, I did my graduation in electrical engineering in 2022. I passed out in 2022 from IIT Bhilai. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you for the introduction, ma'am. Let's start from your college life itself. I see that you graduated in 2022, and that was the year when COVID was just slowing down and colleges were opening. How were the last 2 years of engineering, that 2020-22 period?
So for us, I think 2020 and 2021, these 2 years we were at home only, so everything just went online. And like if you're from electrical, you know that like the third and the fourth year are basically your lab years.
Yes.
And we basically missed most of our lab related things. Everything went to theory rather than practical. But yeah, luckily the last year the college reopened and they invited us and we completed all our electrical labs in just 1 year. So it was kind of tough also, but yeah, it was a good experience the last year. Yeah.
So in the last year, ma'am, entire 2022 was your offline college.
Yeah, the entire 2022 was offline. Only 2020 and 2021 we were doing it online. Yeah. So
Okay, so
all the
all
labs that
the
we have, yeah, it just shifted to 2022. So it was an overload for us. But then, like, we are today's engineers, so we managed it. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Being from electrical background, I can understand machines, power systems, and those labs. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we did it all in a hurry, but luckily we didn't miss anything. That would have been bad if we missed any particular lab, or if our 4 year engineering would have extended to 5 years, it would have been a worse case. But yeah,
Yes,
luckily we completed in 4 years only.
ma'am. Thanks to the schedule by IITs and their care. Yes, ma'am. So during your BTech, did you did any internships while in the online or offline period?
Yes, I did a internship, but it was more towards the digital marketing side. It was not related to hardware side. Although in the hardware side, I did a project with one of my professors. So it was a impedance calculator, which will help the farmers to measure the impedance of the soil, based on which they can decide which soil is right for the plants to plant in. So yeah, that was in the hardware side. In the internship side, I did it for digital marketing. I was keen to learn that at that particular time. So yeah.
Yeah, you had some experiences with SEO. I saw.
Yes, search engine optimization. Yes, I was really keen in doing digital marketing and towards the MBA, but somehow I just ventured into the hardware side. Yeah.
Okay, so this brings an interesting turn in the interview. So we'll discuss this part. But yeah, as ma'am, apart from the internships, can you describe your BTech projects? Like you told the impedance measuring of the soil one, but I saw that you had done projects using Arduino and a mini UPS system. So was it a
Yes.
major project
So I did one project which was range measurer using the Arduino Uno. So it was my BTech first year project. Like when you enter into the electrical engineering, you are supposed to do some small kind of project in your first year. So in that, like it was basically based on creating a system where it will measure the distance if any object comes, and it will let you know that some obstacle is there in front of you and you shouldn't move forward. It will ring you a tune. So that was my first project, which I developed using Arduino. And the mini UPS system, it was my final year project, which I did under the course analog devices and systems. So it was a group project, you can say. So we came up with a PCB layout for a mini UPS system. Yeah, but unfortunately, since it was our last year, we didn't get enough time to, fabricate it and show it functionally, because there was no time allowed for that. But yeah, the design of the PCB and all the advances that we can do over there, that we did using online simulation tool. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So I have heard that Gabra from Mentor Graphics is famous for PCB designing. Was it you used?
I don't think I have used any such tool back then.
Okay,
It was
okay,
something which was provided by my college only, the tool,
okay.
and we did it in there. Yeah.
Okay, nice to know, ma'am. So you had projects in Arduino and PCB designing, but then we see that you getting placed at Intel in VLSI. So we'll discuss this transition. But yeah, before that, how were the placement scenario during COVID and after you offline? Since many labs were conducting, so how you manage and what was your experience?
So luckily in my year the placement was good, like because post my batch the placements have turned really a downhill because of the job crash in the market,
Yes,
obviously.
ma'am.
So even though COVID was there, I think still many companies came to recruit. But yeah, one of the thing with the newer IITs is that there are lesser branches, and like more software companies come for placements. So because of that, the students in mechanical engineering or even the electrical engineering, they don't get much core opportunity like in their domain, right? So what used to happen is that any student, like obviously we are in IITs for a job, so like people in electrical and mechanical domain, they used to prepare for software in their, like from their third and fourth year, so that when the software companies come, they can sit in the placement and then they get selected. So yeah, so many software companies came. There were very lesser electrical or hardware related companies and fewer mechanical related companies. So people mostly prepared for software domain. But for me, it was opposite because I was never interested in software domain. I was always loyal to my domain, electrical. But since I didn't get much opportunity in electrical, like in off campus also, there are very few opportunities for freshers back then. So I had my plan B, which was digital marketing and to go for MBA, because yeah, I didn't want to join the software. So that's why in my on-campus opportunity, I first got placed in Deloitte as a business analyst because of the digital marketing and Google Analytics, all that I did in my final year. Yes. But after that, it was like Intel I joined through off campus. Yeah.
Okay, so you got placed at Deloitte and you were for the analyst role in the
Yes.
company. So did you
Yeah.
join Deloitte or you directly applied for other? Okay,
No, I actually didn't join Deloitte because, like, towards the end of my graduation, Intel finally came to our college. It was a off-campus drive only, you can say. So, like, the thing is, there were few seniors of our college who used to work in Intel. So, since the opportunity popped up there, they thought of passing it to our college email. So, it was not on campus, it was off campus only. But they let us know about the opportunity. So, that's how I interviewed for Intel, and luckily I got into it, and I finally crashed into my own domain only rather than, going into
yes,
my
ma'am.
plan B. So, it all turned out really lucky for me.
Really grateful to hear that, ma'am. And regarding your Intel hiring, so what was the hiring procedure? Like you told, it was while you were in college, it came, right?
Yes, yes.
So what were the rounds in that?
So, I actually sat for formal verification engineer. That's my job profile. So, before going into the hiring process, I'll just give you a brief intro about what it is. So, basically, all the IPs that are designed in phone or in PCs, whatever. So, there are a huge chances that there might be some error present in it. because of which it can blast, or it can hang, anything can happen. So as a formal verification engineer, what we do is we just take in the design, like after the designer design, like prepares the design of the, like prepares the code of the design, we take in that, we know, like let's say there is a block, we know the input, we know the output, but we don't know what the designer has code in between. What we have is the specification, like in the English term we have that, okay, if this input is there, this output will come, like we just know it from a higher level, and based on that we code our own model, and we write our own checkers to verify that the outputs are behaving correctly with respect to the input, so that at the end we sign off that block with accuracy, precision, and no errors, and then it can go for production. And this step basically occurs before production, so that we save a lot of PCBs before it goes to production. So because after production, if we find the error, then it's a big loss, right? So this is basically prior to production. So that is formal verification engineer. Now coming back to your question, the hiring process, it was of 3 rounds,
Were
two
there any,
technical rounds.
sorry to interrupt, ma'am, were there any other roles which Intel came? You chose formal verification.
No, it was only formal
Okay.
verification engineer. Yeah. So yeah, I had 3 rounds in total. Two of them were technical, and the last one was the HR round. So the first round was kind of fast forward questions and puzzle questions, analytics related questions. So the questions basically come from digital electronics. If you know the first round, it basically had digital electronics question. The second round was more of a hands-on programming in front of the interviewer. It consisted of like system verilog programming only, related to the design of a counter, FIFO,
Yes.
round robin, arbiter, and all that. Like they'll just twist and modify the normal FIFO arbiter, and they'll just scale it to some different level, and then they will ask you to code in that specific way. And the third round was more of a HR related round, where I was asked that why I moved from my business analytics to like hardware related job.
Question coming.
S- Yes, please go on.
Yes, ma'am. So you can continue last round. Yeah.
Yeah, in the last round, it was more of that, because what happens is in our college, nobody was, more serious about providing opportunities in the hardware domain. That's why, like, you must be lacking internships, lacking major projects in the hardware domain. So obviously, they would ask me, like, if you don't have prior experience in that, like, it would look to them that why am I then going in hardware, even though that was not the case. The case was I wanted to go, but there was no such opportunity. So I explained that to them, that I was looking a job in the same field only, but since there was no opportunity, I couldn't. But yeah, luckily in my fourth year, there was a course which was offered by my institute. The course name was formal verification only. So I
Okay.
did that course. So I could explain to them that I have done this course. I was interested in that, but like there was no opportunities available for freshers. That's why I couldn't pursue it. But then seeing my profile, and from the first 2 rounds, my technical rounds went really good. So they were impressed, and then they let me, yeah.
So being true in the HR round helps, like you were looking for the
Yeah,
job.
definitely. Yes, it will really help, because first of all, you need to make sure that wherever you're going to work, okay, you let them know your expectations and what are you like thinking about your job role. And in the same time, you should also let them know where you stand at that point. Like you cannot just tell them, like obviously you cannot lie, because if you lie, it will just come in the technical round, right? Like you don't know about that. So it's better to stay honest in your HR round or anything, so that like if the company thinks they are okay to take you, they will take you, and they will sharpen your skills. You don't need to have all the skills in the earth to get into a company. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So I faced this. Many students in my college, they clear the technical rounds, but in the HR round they face difficulty. And I assume that HR are looking for employees, not
Yeah.
like who can give who if given a task they can do it very nicely. So what's your
Well,
perspective? What kind of people are companies are looking apart from the technical expertise?
So yeah, that is one thing. So the kind of people they look forward is for first of all honest employees, although it's very rare to find honest employees because nobody can be 100% honest, okay? But at least some level of integrity they look for. And the second thing is how respectful you are towards other employees. So in my first like in the Intel HR round, there was no specific questions asked, but yeah, in the ARM HR round, which we will come forward to it, but I'll mention you over there what all questions were there in the HR round which they look forward for. So they look forward for that how you respect the work of your fellow employees as well, because today if I leave the company, whatever things I have worked on, it will be passed on to somebody else. And if I leave my work in a rampant way, like I don't document it properly, or I haven't code in a efficient way which the other person can understand. So you need to work in such a way that if it gets passed on to somebody else in the future, it will be easier for them to understand how well you know your work and how well you are willing to help others who are, joining in your background. So they look forward for all these things.
So comprehensive way of doing work, like from a reader's
Yes.
perspective. I
Yes,
think.
yes, right.
Looping back, you told that you studied formal verification in your seventh or eighth semester. So was it
Yeah.
an elective that was offered?
Yes, like in the third and fourth year, everything comes as an elective. So you are not at all forced to, like if you're from electrical, it doesn't mean that you have to take electrical electives only. You can go for computer related electives. It's totally on your wish. So formal verification was something which was offered by our electrical domain only. Very few people were there in that course, but the course basically covered the theoretical and mathematical knowledge related to formal, whereas in Intel what we do is basically the hands-on programming.
Okay.
So whatever theoretical and mathematical knowledge we learned in that course, that is helpful if you join Cadence, because Cadence is a tool company, and
Mm.
when it makes the tool, it takes into aspect that mathematical knowledge of formal verification. Whereas what we do is we just code it, we write the checkers and we run it in that tool, and the tool basically gives us the correctness of the design. So what we learned in that course is the correctness of the design, how the mathematical way it works. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. As far as I can recall, that formal verification is building mathematical models to test the system, like
Right.
automatic testing the system. So,
Yes.
so you were involved in giving the inputs, like programming the inputs and outputs. Uh,
Yeah, we like I am involved in. So what happens is designer has a way of code. If I know the way he has coded, then I'll be mimicking him, right? Like I won't be able to find bugs, okay? Because there are 100 ways of coding a thing. I just know the top level. I know the inputs and outputs. I develop my own for, like we call it as formal environment, okay? So I develop my own formal environment where I code it in a different way by just knowing the top level of things, and at the end we just need to like make sure the output is the same that it would have been according to the designer's way of code. Yeah, so that is what we do. But what is involved is like we run it in a tool, we run it in Cadence tool, basically it's called Jasper. So Jasper basically, brings up, or like for running these checkers you need engines, okay? And there are tons of engines available in Jasper, so which engine will be good for which checker, and like how the complexity will be in the tool, and what mode of complexity will be suitable for our checkers, all that is done by Jasper itself. And yeah, Cadence engineers are responsible for that mathematical thing.
Okay. So we'll come back to this. Thinking from a fresher's perspective,
Mm.
first thing, you were in the digital marketing domain. You were planning for that. But then, how did you switch to VLSI? Like, what decisions were made? Was Intel motivated? Coming of Intel in your college motivated, or you had some guidance from seniors?
So, like back in that time, there were very few opportunities available in the hardware domain for freshers. Like, I was trying to get into this domain from 7 to 8 months, but I couldn't because there were very less job opportunities available. And there was a company called Oski, which actually gave opportunities to freshers. But unfortunately, Oski was acquired by NVIDIA, because of which they had stopped recruiting. So I couldn't sit for that. But then again, Nvidia had a hardware engineering, like they have some hardware engineering test, like some drive they have. I sat in that, but I couldn't get qualified after my first interview round. So I had almost lost all my hope in going into the hardware domain. Like after getting into Deloitte, I had constantly tried to get into the hardware domain. It was not a switch. I was constantly looking for it, but since nothing was popping up, I had almost given up. But at the last moment, Intel came in. That's where, like I entered into it. And yeah, my motivation was always my senior, because they were in mechanical domain.
Okay.
And given, like, how difficult it is to get a job in mechanical, especially in newer IITs. But even after that, they got selected into this formal verification domain, which is a very good industry, and it has a lot of job opportunities right now for freshers as well. So I was really motivated that he was from a mechanical, but he, pursued his passion, and he went into, like, he went over there. So yeah, I also wanted to do a similar kind of thing, and it happened. Yeah.
The role of seniors is indeed very crucial. Uh,
Yes, yes, it's
yes.
absolutely helpful. Like even now, when the job market has gone down, in IITs, we maintain a alumni network where, if some job opportunities pop up in somebody's company, then we let our juniors know that, you can apply over here, you can take referrals, you can take our help. So that thing is definitely very helpful.
That was a new inside one. I'll convey that to my NIT tab cells there.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. But regarding your switch to VLSI specifically, you're from
Mhm.
electrical background, and being from an NIT, I see that electrical people study power systems and machines. They go for companies like we have Aditya Birla Group, we have Reliance, we have Tata Steel. Like they hire electrical specific guys, and this is an electronics role. So,
Hmm.
was it a senior guidance only, or you were? Why didn't you go for electrical jobs? Uh, were there
You
companies
mean
less?
VLSI related jobs?
VLSI is in the electronics industry, but being from
Mhm.
electrical, the subjects we study, power systems
Yeah.
and machines, and so you didn't prefer for that. Yeah,
Yeah, to be honest, I was never interested in power systems or electrical machines. It was a lot for me to take in, and
I can
I never
understand.
wanted to. Like, in fact, we had this control systems as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So I was never interested in that. The only thing I liked was Verilog coding, because I didn't do much of C, C++, or Python back at my time. But yeah, Verilog, I really like. There used to be digital electronics lab for freshers where we used to code in Verilog. I enjoyed that. That's why I moved over there. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So, what were the things you prepared for your Intel interview? Like, I see that system Verilog is one thing. So, you
Yes,
did very
system. Yes,
yes, ma'am.
system Verilog programming is really important for the interview, because you are expected to code basic models like I mentioned, FIFO, byter, and up-down counters. Let's say your state machines, FSM, all that you need to know that. Okay, like before going for a interview, like before going for a job role that demands it. Okay, and second thing which I prepared was digital electronics. So it basically covers your knowledge of clocks, cycles, how your flip-flops, latches, resistors, microprocessors, and all that works. So you need to have a thorough understanding of that, because mostly what people do is they watch YouTube videos and then they prepared according to it. They just by heart learn it, and they just go for interview. But that doesn't quite help you, because like you are like you're sitting with an interviewer who might be having 10, 11 years of experience, who knows everything about this by core. So he won't ask you the normal questions, he will twist and turn the questions and ask you, and you will be able to answer that if you have a thorough knowledge of, thorough and basic knowledge of how a resistor works, let's say, or how a flip-flop is designed, what change you can bring in a flip-flop for, let's say, effective power management. Okay, you can answer them if you have a thorough knowledge. If you have just by hearted, you cannot answer them. So it's very important that you learn this subject, digital electronics, thoroughly. Very system Verilog is an important thing. And the third thing for my domain is puzzles and analytics. So since formal verification engineer is something that involves mathematical kind of thing, so they're expected that your brain is sharp, and to test that they ask you different kind of puzzles, like short puzzles, which they ask you in CAT exam as well. So it also turned out in my favor since I was preparing for CAT. So my puzzles round went really good. So yeah, these three things should be enough.
So puzzles were conducted as a separate round or at the end of the
So
digital
the
questions.
first round itself. In the
Okay, so it
first
was
round,
like
towards the end. Yeah.
totally on knowing your aptitude in the first round now.
Yes, yes. They ask you tons of questions regarding your aptitude.
Okay, ma'am. So, going to the digital electronics in that thorough knowledge, we usually see digital electronics as combinational circuits, sequential circuits, in sequential FSMs. There, people study thoroughly, I mean, study all these topics, and then they practice questions and go for interviews. So, what do you think should be our approach apart from this? Like you said, how power management of an D flip flop. So, these aspects don't come to our mind while we are preparing. So,
Right.
if you were to
So,
go back, yes, ma'am,
mhm.
and advise your younger self how to study digital electronics, so how would you say?
So what we usually do is there are a lot of GATE courses available in YouTube, right?
Yes,
So the way it is designed is to come in accordance with our courses in IITs only. So they cover certain topics and they just explain you the bare minimum and that's it. That's where you just get the top level knowledge from it. But instead of doing like obviously those are really helpful, but in like along with that, if you watch YouTube videos by professors in IITs, then there they actually explain you the working instead of just staying course specific. They go in like they deep dive into the breadth and then they explain you more about a particular thing. So what I'll suggest is if you read some books which are by professor in IITs, let's say, and if you especially watch YouTube videos. I'm not much of a book kind of person. I always prefer YouTube videos. So if you watch YouTube videos by professor in IITs, that should be well enough.
NPTEL courses,
Yes,
exactly.
yes, NPTEL courses. That's what I am saying actually. Like in YouTube, you find these videos under NPTEL courses a name only. So they are really helpful. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, apart from digital electronics and Verilog, are there any other subjects that are important?
See,
Microprocessors.
in my background, this much is enough. But
Okay.
for other backgrounds, let's say you're sitting for FPGA engineer or you're sitting for a CAD engineer role, then you should have knowledge about how the a CAD tool works or like regarding the FPGAs and like there might be a ton of things regarding it. I'm not aware of it, but yeah, you can learn more about it. But for formal engineering background, this much should be enough for a fresher. Yeah.
Okay. So, digital electronics, Verilog, and puzzles practice.
Yeah, refresher. This is for refresher. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Regarding puzzles, like any resources from you practice from GFG. Also, you told CAT.
Yeah, I was like for me, I didn't need to have any additional preparation because I was like preparing for CAT. Like I was giving times mock interviews and I was following a channel called Rodha in YouTube only. So my preparation was mostly on that. But for anybody who is sitting for it, I can just suggest you search in Google and you have tons of websites. You can just prepare like every day if you do, 5 questions, that should be enough. Like the thing about aptitude is that you need to have a constant practice. You don't need to have a sharp mind. So if your practice is constant, automatically you're adapted to solve it easily.
Okay,
That's what.
understood, ma'am.
Yeah.
So practice is the key there. And
Yeah.
regarding Verilog, any resources?
uh for me it was my college only. We had
Okay.
this lab, digital electronics lab, but you can search it in YouTube. I'll suggest your page. Your page is really good, VLSI for all.
Yes, ma'am. They can definitely refer. So you followed courses, just that was enough for
Yeah,
Verilog.
for me, YouTube was everything that I followed. Like I used to search for it, and according to me, if I find some page useful
Yes.
regarding the knowledge, I used to just watch the videos. That's it.
Okay, ma'am. So that was pretty detailed discussion on the preparation strategies and the college life. So
Yeah,
we can now move on to your Intel experience. Like you got selected there. So was it an FTE offer or an intern offer, 11-month intern?
it was a full-time employment offer. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. And you were offered the role of formal verification there.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. So if you were to, okay, we discussed that regarding your role. But still, if you were to describe your role to a fresher, who doesn't know protocols and UFI. So how will you say?
So I didn't mention anything about protocol when I explained it. So I
Sorry,
have
yeah.
just it that there's a block, you have input, you have output, you know from the top level how it works. You just make an environment, like you just code to bridge the input and output, and at the end you just write checkers that if this input is there, this output should be there. If output is coming, like first in first order kind of thing, like let's say there is a FIFO and you write it from 0 to 10, then at the output also when somebody is reading it, it should come from 0 to 10. It shouldn't be like, okay, first 9 is coming, then 7 is coming. So you need to have certain checkers to make sure that is working correctly. So yeah, all you do is you write checkers and you check it. So when I am saying we write checkers, it's not that easy. It's not simple, straightforward checkers. Sometimes the checkers also need to be modeled because, like for example, let's say I mentioned this one, right? Like a FIFO is there, and you need to check that the output are coming first zero, then one, then two, like this, and not from the middle anywhere. So for such checks, you have to do separate coding or modeling kind of thing, and then you have to write like the checkers including your modeled signals and not the inputs and outputs. So yeah, sometimes the checkers can be really sometimes the checkers really need a separate modeling and it can get pretty difficult. So yeah.
Okay, okay, ma'am. So
Yeah.
I think it was writing test benches using Verilog.
No, test bench is really different. So there is a thing called verification engineer and there is a thing called formal verification engineer. So what verification engineers do is like they write test benches which provide the input certain values, and like they run their verification environment and the RTL verifications and the RTL environment, and they compare both of the outputs. In our case, we don't use separate inputs or outputs, or we don't provide the inputs any values. The tool will provide random values to the inputs. We code basically along with the designer. It's just a different way of coding, and we make sure that at the end the output is same. So the difference between verification and formal verification is that your verification, like there are 100 like first of all, for an input you can have thousand millions of test cases, right? And if there are, let's say, 10 inputs in your design, then you just imagine how many number of test cases you can have. So it's not possible for a verification engineer to give all the test cases, all the combinations, right? So what they do is they identify some some environment where, like, basically they talk with the designers and the designers say that, okay, I want my input to have these values, and they feed it to that, and then they process it. But in our, so it is basically a depth wide search, if you see, for the verification engineers. But in case of formal, it's a breadth wide search. So it's going to check every possible state case that is there, and we can just find out bugs in every configuration. So that is the difference between verification and formal verification. So to make sure that happens, we need to have a formal environment where we code specifically like the designers do. Yeah.
Got it, ma'am. So we check a wide range of possible values.
You do that wide search, yes.
Okay, ma'am. So having worked on all these projects at Intel, so how was your experience? You worked there for 1.5 years there. So how did it help you grow in your career? Like how was Intel work,
Uh,
work
Intel is
culture?
a very Intel is a very nice company. So everything I have learned today is because of Intel. So yeah, Intel is a very good company when it comes to learning, because first of all, it's a huge company, and the senior engineers who are there in Intel, like they have tons of knowledge because they have worked in the industry. Like you'll find more adult engineers over there, so they have worked in the industry for 15-20 years. So in my organization, first of all, for freshers, they had a 2 month long course, so that before going into the actual work, we know what we are working on. So yeah, after that 2 month long course, also in every step, the freshers were guided by some senior engineers, so that our first project we handle it with efficiency. Sorry.
I've heard that there's a person as allotted to every fresher. Buddy is there and a
Yes,
mentor.
yes, buddy is there. Yeah, buddy. It is in every company actually. This buddy kind of thing. But yeah, back in Intel, the buddy was responsible to make sure that in our 2 month course, whatever modules were assigned to us, we were doing it correctly. They used to verify our work, and in projects also, we had a senior engineer who used to assist us in doing the work. And after, let's say, 3 to 4 months, you are expected to work on your own, where you will be guiding someone else. So for me, I think my first 3 to 4 months were somebody guiding me, and after that, when I learned to work independently, then some interns were assigned to me whom I used to guide. So it was a whole lot of learning experience. Like it's a great company to learn something new. Like if you're joining as a fresher in Intel, it's a boon. Yeah.